All right, welcome back. This Thursday. Who knows? I've lost the day of how long we've been in lockup. Making sure that we're connected on the other social media sites. Okay, so that's ready. We're we're here. We're live. Uh, Once again, bringing you another tip. A few tips today. Um, you know that sometimes we get lost. We get lost on what are the things we need to do. So many things going on. So many challenges to confront nowadays. And this is something that's usual for businesses that are growing, especially. Um, I specialize in working with businesses that are growing because they get to a point where they get stuck. All of a sudden, they don't know what else to do. And it's similar to what's going on right now because all of a sudden they find a new frontier. They find that they need to cross over into this new growth spur or growth temperament or growth, I don't even know what to call it, come up with these growth strategies. And so I help them do that. And going through this whole crisis and the coronavirus and all that, we feel the same way. We need to get away from here. We need to move into the next level. We need to start moving forward. We need to do certain things. So we need to come up with a way to handle all these obstacles, handle all these issues that come up and that are very normal for any growing business. So the first thing I guess what I want to transmit to you today is that today there is no different as far as how to resolve these issues, how to resolve these problems. It's basically we use the same strategies that we would if we had issues of growth, issues of sales, issues of people. Uh, there's a strategy that we use in order to get you through them, solve them, and not have to deal with them again. Because that's the key. The key is not to come back next week and have exactly the same problem or the same issue. You're constantly going to have issues, you're going to have problems, that's fine. As long as you're not solving the same one over and over again. I don't know if that you identify with that, but I find that many of my clients fall into that pattern. And that's when they call me up and say, "Hey, JC, this is driving me nuts. This is a third meeting we've had to solve a issue that we're having, and it seems like it keeps coming back. It keeps resurfacing." And I'll tell you a little bit about why that happens. What's the cause of that? This morning, what I want to bring you, or this afternoon, geez, the day's gone by really quick today. What I bring to you today is the four tips. I'm going to give you 4 tips to manage business obstacles today. Obstacles today. Because once you get the hang of it and you get very good at solving issues, solving problems, resolving them once and for all, and then you start noticing that there's a pattern of how you do it. And I'm going to give you a few tips today on just how to do that so that you can get away from having those horrible meetings where you go in and are discussing the same thing, you're arguing about the same things, and at the end you finish the meeting and everybody is either upset or uncomfortable and nothing's been solved, and next week you're back doing it again. The same problem, same issues, same situations. So let's break that pattern. Let's move forward. Let's see what's happening today in your business, because today in your business there are things happening. It hit the fan and it's all over the place. And the first thing we need to do is identify the issues. That's number one. Identify the issues. Don't try to solve things all over the place. Make sure you have an issues list. The issues list, it helps us put in a list in a place somewhere where we can see everything that we have to solve, all the issues that have come up. And we can go by department. If you have issues with your sales department, what are their issues? Bring them up. Let's get all the issues up. One of the biggest problems that we have is when we don't have that trust built into our business, then the issues are usually not there. We ask for our different head of departments to give us their issues, and no, we don't have any issues. They're not meeting the numbers. They're not getting to the results that you want. They're not moving as fast as they should, and yet they still say we don't have any issues. That's a trust problem, and we can talk about that in another video. I think Patrick Lencioni is the one that has a tremendous insight on that on his book, The Five Dysfunctions of a Team. And he speaks about a whole book just on that, on how this lack of trust prevents us from moving forward. And one of the things it affects is our issues list. We don't seem to have issues. Nobody comes up with issues. And when they do, they're really at a very, very superficial level, and it really doesn't solve anything. It doesn't move us forward. The purpose of having an issues list is to be aware that there are things that we need to resolve in order to move forward, in order to get stronger, in order to get healthier as a company. We need to have those issues lists, and we need to get them from our people. And we need to have those people trust us enough that we're not going to use it against them, but we're going to use it to help strengthen the company. So that's tip number one, is make sure you have an issues list, that you have compiled it in a way that includes all the issues in the company, not just your problems or your issues, your situations, but all of them. And that way, when you come and meet with the leadership team, they see their issues also. They see everybody's issues, and now everybody together starts working on the issues. It's no longer I have to solve all these issues, but I bring my leadership team together, and we tackle all these issues together, and we take off our hats, whether my departmental hat or my leadership hat, whatever we want to call it. We leave all that outside, and we come into the room as a company, as a business that needs to solve all these issues. And when we have it in one place, it's a lot easier to move forward. When I do this with my clients, I use a dry eraser board, and I just start jotting down all the issues that come up: people issues, sales issues, human resources issues, accounting issues, financial issues. We just brainstorm to get them all out, so that we know what we have to solve, the issues that are hindering us from moving faster, moving forward. And nowadays that's very important, because the issues you had last month, the issues you had 2 weeks ago, the issues you had yesterday are completely different from the ones you're having today, because things are changing, things are moving faster, and we need to confront it, we need to get ready for it. So make sure that you have a very good compiled list. Don't be afraid of how many they are. You got 30 issues, no problem. I am more scared when I come to a company or to a business, and I sit with them, and what are your issues? And they come up with 1, 2, or 3 of them. And I'm looking at their numbers, I'm looking at their objectives, and I'm looking at their what they want to accomplish in the quarter or in the year, and they're so far away from reaching their goals, and they don't have any issues. That's scary. So in today, what we're going through, everything that's going on, you should have a big issues list that you need to solve in order to move forward, strengthen your company, make it healthier. All right, so that's number one. Number two is prioritize these issues. Don't just go in and try to solve the one on top and then the next one and then the next one. That's one of the worst mistakes that leadership teams make, is they don't prioritize their issues, and then all of a sudden they have solved a whole bunch of issues, but none of them are important. None of them impact the business. None of them impact the health or the growth of the business, because they haven't taken time to prioritize which ones are the ones that are more important, which ones are the ones that are really going to have an impact on the business, and it's going to help it move forward, or it's going to help it strengthen or make it healthier. It's going to unite us. It's going to give us the same vision. It's going to get us to move forward at the same speed. And that happens when we prioritize. And how do we prioritize? Once we have this issues list, we have them all on the board, and we start thinking, what are the things that have the biggest impact in our company? And we take those, the biggest problems that are causing it, the biggest hindrance, the biggest blocks, the biggest issues that we're having, and we start with those first. And we go in threes. We pick three of them that are the most important, that we know if we solve those, and here we go back to Gary Keller's book of the one thing, and this is amazing. I love the philosophy behind the one thing, because if we find that one big problem, we know the rest are going to be solved easier, or we may not even have to resolve anything. So make sure you start out with those three big things that the whole leadership team is on board, and they're all agree with you that these are in effect the biggest challenges you have, the biggest issues, the biggest problems you need to solve. And once you have those three, then it's once again going back to the one thing. We find which one of those three is the one. Which one is that one? The one we want to prioritize as number one that we need to solve. And so once we do that, and we continue to do this and solve number one, now we got two left. We prioritize those two, make sure we find which one's the one, and then we solve the third one. Once we solve these three issues, you can take a look at your issues list, and you'll find that you have solved a whole bunch of other issues that you're in this. You have a list of 30, you solve three, and then now all of a sudden it's not 27, it's 20. You solve a whole bunch of others, because that's what happens when we're good at solving issues. When we prioritize them and solve them in that manner, then a whole bunch of things that are beneath it that are creating problems for us also are no longer there. They all of a sudden vanish. This is the kind of miracle we get when we have a structured way of solving issues, solving problems. And once we get those three solved, we do the same exercise all over again. See? And then we start, okay, so now looking at the issues that we have left, what are the top three? We pick those big ones, the ones that are going to have an impact again in their company. We prioritize those three. We solve the biggest one. We solve the second biggest one and the third biggest one at a time. One at a time. We don't solve 10 problems at a time. We solve one issue at a time. And it takes care of a whole bunch of issues, but make sure you do it one at a time. But a lot of the big question here is, how long do we work on solving issues? Don't spend the whole day solving issues. It's not worth it. Spend an hour solving issues, hour and a half, and whatever you solve, that's it. Go back to work. There's things to do. Don't get hung up on trying to solve all 30 issues, because then you're not being productive. And you need to go back. You need to make sales. You need to contact your clients. You need to do stuff that's part of my daily routine, daily things that I need to do. And if we just get stuck on just solving problems, then we're not moving forward. So make sure you just give it enough time to solve, and by the way, you can solve one problem, you can solve 10 problems. Depends on how big the problem is and how difficult, we come up with the solution. But once you do, and then just break and do whatever you need to do, come back to the next week and work on the next big problems, and you continue to do this. And this is what's amazing about this, is think about it. If you spend a whole year, week after week, solving the problems that are blocking you from the growth that you're looking for, that it's not letting you really expand and grow to the level that you want to, and it's holding you back, after 1 year of doing this, your business is a different business. Now you have solved your problems. Now you have different kind of problems. You have better quality problems, if you will. And that's fantastic, because when we have better quality problems, it means that we're moving faster, we're getting stronger, and we're getting healthier. And now we're looking forward to new problems. We're looking forward because those new problems mean that we're growing, means that we're reaching the levels of growth that we're looking for. So that's number two. The third thing that we want to do, first have a list. If you don't have a list, there's no way that you're going to be able to solve anything. So make sure you have a list of issues that you need to solve. Second, make sure you prioritize and solve the biggest issues first. Don't go down the list, but make sure that you are diligent enough to pick the more important. And then thirdly, go deep into the issue. The biggest problem that I find working with clients is that when they get to this portion, they just solve the symptoms. They don't identify really what the problem is. They just name whatever problem is. We don't have enough sales, or how are we going to do with working with people from home office? These are things that are symptoms of what we need to solve. We need to go deeper into what the real issue is. What is the real problem we want? And we need to discuss this until we find what the real problem is. For instance, it could be sales and that you're not meeting the numbers, that you have you're not meeting the goals, your numbers are not there, and all of a sudden you get together, you huddle with your leadership team, and the first thing that pops up is, okay, so we need to spend more time in advertising, we need to hire more salespeople, we need to lower our prices, and we start giving all these solutions to a symptom, and the symptom might be that you're meeting the numbers. What you need to do first is go deep, find out what the real problem is. It could be that you're the person in charge of sales is not performing to the level that he's required to perform. It could be that your salespeople, the way that you're hiring is not proper, and therefore you're not hiring the right salespeople. It could be so many things that are really at the root of the problem, that if you don't get to it and solve it, next week you're not going to have the numbers again, and you're going to be discussing it again, and you're going to give the solutions to symptoms again, and the following week you're going to start feeling it. You're going to start seeing that there's a cycle that you continue to try to solve an issue, not a problem. So make sure you, a symptom and not a problem. So you want to really question everybody. You want everybody to participate here. You want everybody to come up and says, what is the real problem here? And as soon as they give you an answer, I think Dean Graziosi gave me a fantastic way of solving this and getting really to the deep end, is the seven levels deep question. And what you do is ask well, why do you think that's the issue? And then they give you an answer, and you say, why do you think that that's the issue? And you keep going, asking 7 times, and by the end, sometimes the real issue comes up. The real issue comes up. I think we have a terrible sales manager that cannot motivate and move us to do the work we need to do. And by the way, if there's trust, that sales manager might be in the team and he might be participating, and then he gets challenged right there. What are you going to do in order to get this moving? But now you got to the root of the problem. Now you know that there's a solution. And the solution might be that you need to hire somebody else, or maybe you need to do some training. Maybe you need to. It really, every single issue has a solution that needs to be found within that problem. But if we don't get to the problem, if we don't go deep and try to get it out first, then we're just going to be solving issues, symptoms. I keep saying issues. We're just solving symptoms, and solving symptoms is so horrible, because once again, next week you're back discussing the same thing, arguing about the same things, and spending more money without solving the problem. Okay, so now you have the list. This is number 1. Number 2, you have prioritized that list, and you know which are the biggest ones and the first ones you're going to need to solve. And thirdly, you need to go deep and find the root problem of it all, so that you can solve it once and for all. Okay? And number 4 is, while you're doing this, while this whole issue solving strategy is taking place, You need to stay focused. You need to stay focused on what they're doing, not on deviating on other conversations or deviating on other issues or bringing new symptoms into the to the mix, and not going into defensive mode, which happens quite a bit. Where an issue comes up, we go deep, we find the problem, we're discussing the problem, and then in order to defend yourself or somebody else in the leadership team, all of a sudden we kind of deviate the conversation. Well, that's not really my fault, that's really somebody else's. And we start this blame game, and all of a sudden, hour and a half goes by, and we've been blaming others for an hour and a half. You see? And that's where you got to be very careful to bring it back, focus again. Hey guys, what we need to solve is this issue. This is what we're talking about today. If that's an issue, we write it down and forget about it because it's in the issues list. And eventually we're going to prioritize it, and we're going to go deep with it also, and we're going to solve it. Right now, let's continue to work on this issue. And by doing that, refocusing, bringing back the people, it allows for us to not to wander off into other conversations. And it's not easy. I know it's not easy. It's difficult. And when I start working with teams, this is the biggest challenge that I find, is that I got to continue to bring them back into the issue solving mode that they're in right now, with that one issue to be solved. Once that's done, once we've discussed it and we've found solutions for it, now we can hand it off to somebody. We can give it to somebody and put a name on it. This is John's issue, and he's going to solve it. He's going to bring back a solution next week, or he's going to take care of it. He's going to put together a plan in order to solve this issue. But we know that when that happens, we have really gone through every possible way that we can solve the issues. We're not just concentrating on symptoms. We're not concentrating on politics. That's the word I was looking for. Is we get into politics of trying to repeat ourselves a lot about why we think that this is the issue or the reason or the solution. Once we repeat it twice, we're already getting into politics. Say things once, make sure everybody understands what you're saying, and then move on. Allow somebody else to come in and comment on it to get to that bottom of the problem, so you can come up with a great solution, assign it to somebody, and then just make sure that that person is accountable to somebody that's going to follow up and give us the results that we're looking for. I guarantee that if you continue to do this on an ongoing basis, it's amazing what happens. It's amazing the growth we can get. It's amazing how fast we can move. It's amazing how healthy our company gets. See? And during these times of crisis and viruses, and working from doing home office and staying in touch with our people, when we do this exercise, it helps us to solve the biggest issues that we have, the biggest obstacles that we're coming up with, instead of just talking about it and just commenting one to another and causing frustration to one employee to another, because there is no solution. We just talk about it, and then that's it. It's over. So if you want to learn more about this, and you really want to find out how to solve your issues, your problems, I'm having right now, what we've done is we've taken all my free time, all the free time I have, and we've devoted to giving free session that's strengthen your business during this crisis, so that I can help you clarify exactly your vision of what you want your company to look like, during this period of time. We want to clarify, we want to know exactly what it is, so that you can take action and remedy the things that are not there, so we can get the issues out, right? So that's the clarity portion is very important. What do you want out of your business right now, today? And second, what I'm going to be doing is looking for the blocks and the everything that's hindering us from moving forward and moving faster and getting healthier, stronger business. Some of these blocks are hidden. These are challenges that normally we haven't even detected, and yet they're there. And I'm going to help you just clarify them so why we can remove them and you can move faster into the direction of where you want to take your company. And thirdly, I want to make sure that you get out of the meeting motivated, energized, engaged to taking action, taking the next steps that you need to take in order to strengthen your company and make it healthier and more united company in the midst of everything that's going on right now. So take advantage. I don't have a lot of spaces. Like I said, I'm only taking the space, the time that I have available and dedicating it to you. So make sure you take advantage. You can click on the link below and I will send you a link where you're going to need to fill out short form just so I can get to know you, who you are and all that. And then I'll send you a calendar where you can book your session and we'll spend some time together solving issues or using it to get your company stronger and healthier. So that's the tips for today. We'll see you tomorrow, and make sure that you take these steps that I gave you today and put it into practice. Pass it on to your leadership teams so that they can pass it on to their people, because this is not just our problem as leaders. This is a company-wide problem that happens, that we just argue all day about issues that we never get to solve. Now you have a strategy and a way of just making sure that they get solved once and for all. So see you soon.